At any late model race, beyond the noise and the nerves, you'll find Brock Suss. Not a driver, he's not a crew chief, but the heart of the Donnie Wilson Motorsports team. The son of program manager Bond Suss, Brock's joy is contagious. His smile, unforgettable. He cheers louder than anyone, celebrates harder than most, not just for his team, but for everyone in the garage area. In a sport measured by seconds, Brock reminds us what really matters, and it has nothing to do with lap times.
I'm Brock Suss. I'm Bond Suss's son in stock car racing, and I'm 17 years old. I come from Concord, North Carolina, and some of my favorite things to do are lifting, watching the races, and going out to baseball games.
Normal baby, had a baby, normal, just, everything was kind of normal. Some relatives that we have, just being around Brock a little bit, not every day like we are, they just kind of noticed a few things. And then, Brock was just a little delayed in walking. Had actually some curvature to his legs, and so we could tell something was different. And ultimately, it was about a year process trying to figure it out. And we met with a doctor that did a genetic test and come back that Brock had SMA. So, it was obviously an emotional time, right? Like, what is it? What's going to happen? That sort of thing. And at that time, we could tell Brock was delayed a little bit. He couldn't run as fast. He couldn't jump as high. He couldn't do a lot of things other kids could. But you always have that sense of like, what's it going to be in 10 years or 20 years or that sort of thing, So SMA, spinal muscular atrophy, is what he has. It's fairly new in the medical industry, probably 25, 30, 35 years of research. What we have learned about it is there's some adults today that have type 3, but they can still walk, they can still move. Obviously the walking part's really afflicted Brock probably when he was about 13, 14 years old, right in there. The biggest thing is, as we give him accommodations to kind of help, he kind of continue to lose that strength. So it's a progressive disorder. It just kind of gets worse. And at the end of the day, what it means is his brain can't tell his muscles how to grow and react and be stronger. And so he loses, his muscle growth. Affects primarily his lower body. His upper body is pretty strong. He's actually big into weightlifting and dumbbells and anything, his upper body. I would say early on, we kind of got through the what is it, what could it be, how bad could it be, and we've seen all spectrums. We've seen adults who, like I say, could still maneuver, walk, didn't lose their ability to walk, and then we'd see, children in their late teens who, a lot like Brock is now, where he's, bound to some sort of device that helps him get around, So it's tougher. There's obviously moments we go through where, you realize you kind of missed something. You missed Little League baseball, or you missed, basketball in junior high, or you missed, things like that. Or we go to places and he can't quite participate because, you just got to be able to get there. It's in some ways it's not a lot different than I tell a lot of our drivers, right? You got to control what you can control, and you got to recognize what stuff is not in your control.
I don't know how to describe Brock other than he is my ultimate spirit animal and all that entails. He embodies happiness and joy in all the best ways that I wish I could exuberate and embody, because you'd never catch that kid down. He's happy, upbeat, and he just brings joy.
The simple text messages after the races and talking to Brock, it always just puts it in perspective, because you can be having a bad day, and you know, whenever you hear from Brock, it's just a constant reminder that, you know, if he's doing as good as he is, then there's no reason that I can't be doing as good as I can be doing. So, you know, he's a special human being.
I think he's got a big heart, you know, and he don't see his disability as a disability. I mean, it's like nothing to him. I mean, he knows the stuff he can do and he can't do, but it doesn't hold him back from anything. You know, I've seen him in some bad situations. He was still grinning the whole time.
Yeah, I think Brock isn't different. I think he's just a normal kid, normal 17-year-old that just wants to have fun, wants to do everything a kid does. And yeah, I don't look at him any different. I don't think Bond looks at him any different. Yeah, he might have a cool scooter, but don't we all want that once in a while? But yeah, he works out just like the rest of us, and he just does cool things. Probably does more things, honestly, than I do. Put it that way. He goes to baseball games, he goes to football games, he goes to the gym every single day. So he probably does more than your average kid, to be honest.
Oh, he was amazing. We first met my first time I met Brock was at North Wilkesboro, and we hit it off since then. He and I, he's the best, and he and I bond so much together at the racetrack. We do a lot of things together. Sometimes we'd call each other and send funny Instagram reels. He and I just have a great time together.
So we're at South Boston, and we had an open tab at the food shack in the middle of South Boston, and we were going to get the crew a bunch of food. So Brock decides he's going to give me a ride on the scooter. So we get all the way to get food ordered, everything's all fine and dandy, and I'm holding this big old box of probably 5 different people's food, and I jump back on the back of that fancy scooter, and we get about 10 feet out of the grub hub, and the scooter shuts down. Now, when his scooter shuts down, it's not just a simple, no, full brake. Me, plate of food, straight over the top. Face first into the ground, into a pile of chili. I turn around, and here's Brock, my scooter! Never mind the chili, cheese fries, the nachos, this guy's chicken sandwich, that fried no, the scooter wouldn't work. And we're dying laughing, and we look in, and we're in plain view of everybody inside the cafeteria eating, dying laughing. I'm like, shoot, we just made a mess of this sidewalk, and we just realized, oh, you just press a little button, scooter turns back on.
I think every day that Brock's around is just a fun, entertaining, laugh till you can't breathe anymore kind of day.
And the biggest thing is when he rolls down pit road. He just pulls into the racetrack and he rolls by people, and everybody knows who he is. And whether they know exactly what he's fighting or what he's dealt with, you see faces light up as he rolls by. And it's just an infectious thing as he scoots on.
We're equipped to handle this situation. We're equipped to love Brock for who he is and what he is, and we're, you know, out here to explore the world with him. He's, like I say, he just seems like it's not a big deal. It's who he is. It's what he is. You know, he takes pride in his scooter, and he wants race stickers on it like it's a race car, and he wants a certain color when we get a different one or a new one, and a lot of things that just don't bother him. You know, he's always kind of had this approach of, like, he doesn't want to stand out, he doesn't want to be different. He wants to try to be as normal as possible in that regard. And I always say it's kind of weird that how God puts you together and how you come out and things you have to do, and he's got a lot of attributes that help him with what he struggles with. For other people, you know, I like to hear the stories of how Brock just what he means to them. It makes you feel good as a parent when someone else kind of recognizes a talent in your son or daughter that just makes you go, good, awesome. They're finding their own way, you know, they're figuring it out. What really motivates me is he's just having a lot of fun going to races right now. He's having a lot of fun, and he's really getting to the point where he's just moving to the beat of his own drum, and that's what really makes it exciting for me. You know, the only difference is Andy drives around on a scooter and gets on the ramp to get in the truck, and sometimes we gotta carry him around a little bit, and sometimes we gotta make a few trips for him for, hey, grab me a sandwich or a soda or something like that. But no, it's you know, the race community is extremely supportive.
You're proud, Dad?
I am very proud, very proud.
But it's really about what happens in life that makes you stem it. Just like doing it every day and getting to the point where you just discover you can still do many things, like working out and stuff. That's where it's really just made me realize, okay, this is how my life is. I'm gonna be positive, I'm gonna be happy about it. I'm not gonna stress over it.